Good morning, beautiful people, and happy Easter. I'm filming this on Easter morning. I'm about to go hang out with my family afterwards, and I'm sure that they hate that, but you guys seem to like it, so I'd rather hang out with you than my family at this point, all right? So today we're doing a 3-round Superflex rookie mock draft based on an NFL mock draft, 3 rounds, so we all went deep here from PFF. Everybody loves PFF. Everybody trusts PFF. Everybody agrees with everything that PFF says, especially their player grades. So I figured, why not take the most accurate website, the most accurate everything, and sprinkle it into the most accurate Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube channel on planet Earth, okay? So today we're doing 3 rounds based on 3 rounds. What you'll see to my left, I believe, this is my first time using OBS, the recording software, which I'm kind of hyped about because there's a lot of customization in this little hoe, all right? So I apologize if the first time using this comes out clunky, but I feel like it looks pretty sexy right now. To the left of me is not my mock draft. That is the PFF mock draft. So we have filtered it down to only skill players, broken down by quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, running back. And one of the tight ends I realized is gray instead of orange, Jayden Sanders right there. How you doing? If you're listening on podcast, that makes a lot more sense when you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. But we have broken it down. You could see what pick they actually were in the NFL draft. That is the leftmost column, their position, the player, the team that they got drafted by, and, of course, their college. Now, you'll see some teams out of position, like the Minnesota Vikings are at number 4. They took J.J. McCarthy there, which obviously means they traded up. So there were some trades that might catch you off guard a little bit. There were some picks that might catch you off guard a little bit. But, hey, that's PFF for you, all right? So we're going to go 3 rounds deep in this based on these landing spots, how I would play out a rookie draft. Feel free to yell at me in the comments. We're going to go through this rather quickly. Otherwise, me talking about 36 players will be here until fucking Halloween of next year. I have a rule, 1 holiday per video. If my video takes 1 holiday to get to the next, we're not doing it. I'm not doing it. All right, so let's move over to the actual draft board. Now, nothing has changed for me in terms of the 101. Caleb goes first overall to the Chicago Bears. He is going to get picked first overall in the rookie draft. Now, this is a little bit of a change of speed for me, I believe, from some other rookie mock drafts I have done before. But Marvin Harrison is going to go to overall because he went to the Los Angeles Chargers, 5th overall, right? And most often we have seen the Cardinals take him at 4th. In most of the mock drafts that I've seen up to this point. But the Cardinals actually traded back, let the Vikings go 4th overall, and take J.J. McCarthy, leaving Marv to fall to the 5th pick. And he would slot in as Justin Herbert's number 1 immediately. That would probably give him 130, 140, 150 targets off the rip. He would not only be like a top 15 redraft wide receiver in, like regular season-long fantasy, but this will, anytime a rookie can explode out of the gate, his dynasty value is following suit there. So Marv, I honestly think if he goes number 5 overall to the Los Angeles Chargers with how their depth chart looks at the moment, he's going to end up being probably like a top 3 dynasty wide receiver in most people's rankings. I'm talking overall, not just rookie. So Marv's an easy choice for me at the 2 there. At the 3, I mean, you can go either way with the quarterbacks here. In my opinion, you got Drake Maye going to Washington. So I'm going to take him 3rd. He goes 2nd overall in the actual NFL draft. Right behind him, the Patriots end up taking a quarterback, which I know is a kind of a hot topic of discussion. Do they have the pieces around any quarterback that they take to actually make him successful? Probably not, but they take him, and Jayden Daniels is a dude who could probably rush for like 800 yards off the rip and be a usable quarterback. So he goes 3 overall to the Patriots in this mock draft. He's going to go 104 for me in the rookie draft. Now we dip bite into the wide receivers. I just simply think Malik Nabers is too talented to fall any further than this. Odunze also extremely talented. If you guys follow Matt Harmon's Reception Perception, which is absolutely worth the paying subscription on his site, receptionperception.com, Odunze just blows every metric out of the water versus man, versus press, versus zone. Malik Nabers is really, really good as well. His zone numbers dip down a little bit, but like that's fine with me. That's something you can develop. As long as you could beat man and press, you could pretty much succeed in any sort of coverage at the next level. So The difference between these two, we got Malik Nabers going to Chicago. We've got Rome Odunze going to the Giants. This is the first time I've actually seen Rome picked before Nabers in a mock draft. Rome goes 6th overall to the Giants, and then the Bears have that second top 10 pick, 9th overall. That's where Malik goes. Now, you might say, like, hey, Rome goes in to be the wide receiver 1 immediately, whereas Malik, now it's kind of messy there, right? They just brought in Keenan Allen. They have DJ Moore. I agree, but I think that situation is going to stabilize itself really quickly. And I love when a rookie wide receiver goes into a situation with a rookie quarterback and they're both going to play right off the rip, okay? So this might be a situation where, like, you took Malik over Rome in your rookie draft and you're like, fuck, after the first 4 weeks of the season, because Rome is getting 8 to 9 targets a game as their wide receiver 1. But as soon as that, the second quarter of the season, the second half of the season hits, and that's where these like rookie studs really start to see their snap share and their playing time increase to 70, 80, 90% of the snaps. That's where he's going to start blowing everybody else out of the water. So it is a little bit messy right now, but again, we're thinking Dynasty. They just got their quarterback of the future in Caleb Williams, who's going to be there for, hopefully, Chicago fans, 5, 8, 10 years down the line, and Malik Nabers is now his alpha. DJ Moore is fantastic, but he's been DJ Moore for the last 5, 6 years. Keenan Allen is great, but he's over 30 years old. He will be there to help nurture and help kind of mentor these dudes like Malik Nabers and even DJ Moore at this point into their career. So in a year, 2 years, I think you're going to be really happy you took Malik Nabers over Rome here, even though I think they are both home run picks. And Rome just goes into a situation in New York where we're like pretty fucking uncertain about the quarterback, right? Like we've heard nothing but negative chirp out of the Giants camp about Daniel Jones. They're possibly looking at a quarterback at 6 here. They are concerned about Jones's injury durability, which makes sense because he gets sacked a ton and he gets injured even more than that. So long term, I'm a little bit higher on just Malik Nabers and this overall situation that he finds himself in. Now we go back to the quarterback situation where Jayden McCarthy goes 4th overall in the actual NFL draft, which is the highest I've seen him mocked. Oh no, this is kind of a crazy situation just because we have completely just blown the fucking top off the hype here. There's nowhere else to go for him. Like he's not going top 3 because Maye and Daniels are pretty much certified the top 2 and 3 guys. I'm wondering if this is like just such a smokescreen here. It doesn't feel like it is, just based on the amount of hype and like the layers to it and the number of reports and rumors from really credible people about how high NFL teams are on J.J. McCarthy. But if he goes here, to be completely honest with you, I would have no problem if you took McCarthy at the 5 spot here. Definitely wouldn't personally do it because I think Nabers and Odunze are just so talented and will be staples of your lineups for years to come. But the upside of hitting on a high draft capital quarterback in a Superflex Dynasty league is incredibly hard to replicate. So we'll take J.J. McCarthy here at the 7 spot. He goes into Minnesota. Obviously, he's got a fantastic group of weapons there between Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. We didn't get to see him do a lot in college, but they're going to ask him to do a lot right out of the gate. Aaron Jones comes in as a good pass catcher because that is how their offense is set up. Now, this is where things start to get interesting, right? We've got Brock Bowers, who goes 15 overall to Indy, but we've got my boy A.D. Mitchell go 17th overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars, all right? So A.D. Mitchell is going to be my 108 here. Y'all know how high I've been on A.D. Mitchell. He goes into a situation that might seem a little bit messy at first, but I really don't think it is because Calvin Ridley's gone. He's in Tennessee, and Calvin Ridley was the number 1 target getter there. Christian Kirk coming back from a very serious injury. He's not getting any younger. You got him paired with Trevor Lawrence. They bring in Gabe Davis, who is completely a situational and a role player there. I don't know if he's going to be any good in Jacksonville. I think A.D. Mitchell's like it's like a fake busy situation where I think A.D. Mitchell will end up being the number 1 really, really, really quickly there, and almost has a similar game style to Calvin Ridley where he wins on his route running. And he coming out of college, like people didn't like Ridley because he was a little bit older, right? His breakout age wasn't there, etc. And there's the analytics community is picking apart A.D. Mitchell, and I get it. The numbers aren't there, but like if yards per route run was literally the only thing we had to look at, we wouldn't be playing this fucking game. So A.D. Mitchell, 17 overall, goes to Jacksonville. Absolutely love that spot for him. And then Brian Thomas, man, this was one of the first fucking things I said when watching his film. I was like, I don't know if he ever truly develops into like a wide receiver 1, right? Not a situation where you're like, oh, he's the 1A to the 1, or he's the 1B to the 1A, where Brian Thomas becomes the guy. But I did say, the highest peak fantasy value, and this is obviously not a fucking hot take, you pair him with Josh Allen, Brian Thomas would be like the ultimate fit in Gabe Davis. And I want to say like the first note I ever wrote on him was pretty much he is what people wanted Gabe Davis to be. So if he goes to Buffalo, all bets are fucking off. If you wanted to take him above AD Mitchell, wouldn't have a problem with it. If you wanted to take him above JJ McCarthy here, honestly, wouldn't have a problem with it. So you're talking about first-round draft capital. He goes 28th overall, and just the perfect pairing out there in Buffalo. So love Brian Thomas there. And then we're simply just not going to let Brock Bowers fall any further. He goes to Indianapolis. He goes with Anthony Richardson, a young, explosive, upcoming offense. So Brock Bowers will be the 110. And then we have our last of the first-round QBs. So we've had 5 first-round quarterbacks in this PFF mock draft. And that's Bo Nix, who goes 22nd overall to the Broncos. So the Broncos moved back. And a lot of people had the Broncos taking him as a top 12 pick. But they move back and they still get him. And he's a guy that kind of fits into this Denver offense and the Sean Payton offense, I think, where he won't necessarily be asked to do too much. The weaponry is questionable, probably at best at this point. But listen, it's a first-round quarterback. And we've seen plenty of successful quarterbacks from pick 16 to 32 kind of flourish in the league, whether it's Rodgers or, any of those types of guys. And I think the risk is too high going with someone else here over Bo Nix as a Superflex pick. After him, and I like how this has kind of come full circle because the first rookie mock draft I did this offseason, like a month or two ago, Jonathan Brooks was the last pick of the first round for me. And he will, again, become the last pick of the first round in this rookie mock because he goes 56th overall to the Dallas Cowboys. Jonathan Brooks on a talent level and on a film level is my RB1 in this class. And now you're talking about him going to a situation in Dallas where Tony Pollard is now gone. I absolutely love Jonathan Brooks. He gets second-round draft capital. So you're talking about a dude who will go in there and compete for he probably won't be the starter off the rip because he's coming back from an ACL tear. But I think sooner rather than later, he's going to be getting 15 to 20 touches and be explosive and be fucking elusive and be everything that you want in a 3-down back. So, yes, I took Jonathan Brooks over some, top 50, even a first-round wide receiver still left on the board, but I feel really good about it. But right after him, we're going to jump back into the wide receiver pool. At the 201, we will take Lad McConkey, who goes 34th overall. So you're talking about the third pick of the second round to the Patriots. Now, everybody and their mother wants Lad McConkey to go to the Patriots because Lad McConkey has been a Patriot since the day he was born, pretty much, all right? So you talk about smaller, quick twitch, white wide receiver. He is not like the Julian Edelmans. He is not like the Danny Amendolas. He is not like the Wes Welkers. He is someone who could succeed on the outside. He is a very, very good route runner. So I love this fit. And again, going back to the point I made with Caleb and Malik Nabers, Lad McConkey goes in there and pretty much could be like the leading target earner in New England with a rookie quarterback. That's what I'm saying. Like the rookie quarterback and wide receivers coming in together in the same class, big fan of that. I have no idea if there's any fucking credence to it. I have no idea if it matters whatsoever, but I'm a big fan of it. I think they will develop a rapport immediately, and he's going to be a high target earner as someone that the Patriots have just known how to develop guys that flourish in the slot. Like I said, their games, Lad's and those other guys' games are extremely different, but I do think Lad's best point to being like a huge fantasy player will be through the slot, and I think they will put him in there immediately. Right after Lad, we are going to dip back into the wide receiver room, and we're going to go Troy Franklin over here at the 2-2 because Troy Franklin goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, 48th overall, so you're talking about a top 50 pick still. Wide receiver going to a wide receiver room that needs more playmakers, especially downfield playmakers. I am not overly high in Troy Franklin like a lot of people in this community are. I didn't dislike him. I just thought he kind of was what he was, and he was, a deep downfield playmaker, really explosive. And I even think Brett Coleman might have comped him to MVS, which I really, really like given this fit. So he goes to an offense that loses MVS, but he is a better player. He is much better player than MVS, can actually catch balls. I think he will fit into this offense kind of flawlessly. So Troy Franklin going to the Kansas City Chiefs. This is like, we were waiting to see what weapon, what receiver fell here, and it was Troy Franklin in this mock draft, so he is going to be the 202 for me. At the 203, we are going to go with Michael Penix, who goes in the second round to the Las Vegas Raiders, 44th overall. Michael Penix is a dude similar to like Will Levis, where you get early second-round draft capital. A team drafts you in the early second round to play you eventually. It might not happen right away. It might not happen in the first 8 weeks. It might not even happen in the first year. They do have Gardner Minshew. They do have Aiden O'Connell. But those are both bridge-type quarterbacks to a guy like Michael Penix. They will probably sit him for the first year if this is how the draft plays out. But he will get onto the field, and he will play well. He will play well enough statistically that his dynasty value will soar through the roof. So, again, I think you can make the argument that he goes earlier than this, at the 2-2, at the 2-1, even at the 112 if you're not a guy who likes to take running backs in dynasty rookie draft. So, Michael Penix at the 2-3 for me is a layup pick. I think we finally got to get to our guy. And when I say our guy, I mean like the opposite of my guy, but your guys, Xavier Worthy, okay? He goes 30th overall. So you're talking about a first-round pick, back of the first round, to the Baltimore Ravens. This is not an ideal pass-catching spot. Zay Flowers comes in, commands a ton of targets. He was fine for fantasy. He was cool, had some big plays, but realistically, a lack of consistency. A lot of that came with Mark Andrews out also. Mark Andrews will be back. So you're talking about an offense that just doesn't have a lot of high-volume passing and doesn't take a ton of deep shots realistically. Could he play the Hollywood Brown role? Sure. But Hollywood Brown also wasn't competing with Zay Flowers. And even like the Nelson Aguilar re-signing is something that will affect Xavier Worthy's at least like first year window. And if I think we have a disappointing first year from Xavier Worthy, his value is probably going to dip a little bit and dip pretty quickly because there's already enough like negative sentiment about him out there. So I'm not going to let a first round wide receiver drop further than the 2-4, but that's where I'll get him. If you just look at the draft to the left of me here, I mean, we had 6 first round wide receivers, 11 in the top 50. That is crazy. You're talking about like 23% of the picks in the top 50 are wide receivers. I mean, there are like 19 positions on the NFL field, and 23% of them are wide receivers. Yes, I realize that it's 11 and 11, but there's also multiple fucking wide receivers and multiple DNs and multiple D tackles, all right? So enough. What else we got here? What else we cooking on? All right, so we're about to go on a very large wide receiver run. Like my next 8 picks are wide receivers, so I'm just going to make them for you, and then we'll talk about them a little bit. After Xavier Worthy, we got Ricky Pearsall, we've got Xavier Leggett, we've got Keon Coleman, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, Jalen McMillan, and that ends the wide receiver run. We will swap to another position in a second, but I kind of want to talk about each and every one of them extremely quickly. All right? My thinking with Ricky Pearsall here is I like him as a player. He's athletic, he's explosive, he can play in the slot. He goes to Arizona with the 35th overall pick. So you're talking about 4 picks into the second round. And in this mock draft, keep in mind, most mock drafts had them taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4 overall. They didn't do that. So he is the first wide receiver that they drafted in this mock draft, meaning he will be able to compete for serious targets right out of the gate. So I like Ricky P. You know, I love Xavier Leggett. Xavier Leggett ends up getting drafted 39th overall to the Panthers, which is kind of funny because this is right around where Jonathan Mingo went last year, and a lot of people compare Leggett to Jonathan Mingo. I like Leggett a lot more as a prospect than I did Mingo at the same time last year. So I'm a fan of this spot. He'll be my 206. Keon Coleman at the 207. He ends up getting picked 59th overall to the Texans. So this is a guy, we're talking about the back of the second round, but this is a guy that was continuously mocked at the back of the first round when draft season started off hot, right? And now he's clearly dropped quite a bit, but he's someone with the upside of basically any receiver that's not drafted in the first round here, okay? So I like Keon Coleman a lot. He's someone I'm willing to roll the dice on, especially when you start to attach him to C.J. Stroud. Again, it's easy to look at it and be like, this offense is extremely busy with Nico Collins, with Tank Dell, with Dalton Schultz, and I agree for sure. Those are all legitimate, really good weapons, even Noah Brown, who they were signed. But Keon Coleman, he's someone I'm playing the long game on. He's someone that I'm willing to invest in now, and that means he's tied to C.J. Stroud for his entire rookie contract. You have no idea what's going to happen with Nico Collins. You got no idea what's going to happen with Tank Dell. You got no idea what's going to happen with all these ancillary weapons that, like, I'm willing to attach Keon Coleman to C.J. Stroud and let it kind of play out because I like the talent enough. Jalen Polk, I got him at the 208. He goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, 50th overall, so a top 50 pick. You guys know I'm a fan of Jalen Polk's game. Nothing to explain there. Javon Baker. Javon Baker is a dude who I'm going to get in depth on in tomorrow's video. So tomorrow's video is, I'm already going to ruin the title for you, so I hope it doesn't ruin the splash effect. But it's 4 players that you're going to be embarrassed you didn't know about before your rookie drafts, okay? You're going to be embarrassed. And the reason that I feel strongly about Javon Baker, I'm embarrassed. I didn't watch his film until a couple days ago, and this kid can fucking play, man. Javon Baker goes to San Francisco. Javon Baker is out of UCF, and he was taken 63rd overall. So you're still talking about second-round draft capital. San Francisco, now, they don't make the moves in this trade, I don't believe, or this draft, I should say. I don't think they traded anyone. I think there's a really good chance that either Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel are not on the team come this summer, which means someone's going to be competing for that wide receiver 2 role. Javon Baker is a fantastic possession wide receiver. Great catch radius, great hands. I think he could be a really, really nice, solid playmaker for that team. Second-round draft cap, say less. 210, Jalen McMillan. He is a wide receiver out of Washington, behind Jalen Polk, behind Rome Odunze. He goes in the 3rd round to Las Vegas, 77 overall. Still day 2, a little bit lower on the draft capital than some of the other guys. Still left on the board, but I'm a big fan of Jalen McMillan's game. I think you look at Las Vegas, and I think you can make the argument that in a year or two, he is, a top 2 wide receiver in that depth chart. Don't know how long Devontae Adams is going to stay there without an actual quarterback of the future. So I like Jalen McMillan. Good enough draft capital. I'm in. Now, we're getting out of the wide receiver territory, back into the running backs. We're going to go back-to-back picks here with Trey Benson and Blake Corum. They were the only other 2 running backs taken in the first 3 rounds of this mock draft. Now, Trey Benson, he goes to Kansas City. He's all the way down there. He was the 3rd running back taken, 95th overall. So you're talking about just on the border of round 3, round 4, which isn't great draft capital. And he's also going to Kansas City, where they already got Isaiah Pacheco. They have similar-ish running styles. I think Trey Benson's a little bit more athletic, whereas Pacheco is just fucking angry all the time. But, I mean, you talk about a running back going to Kansas City, and you talk about the way that they use whoever they think is the best player on the depth chart. So if they find this offseason that they think Trey Benson is better and more explosive and a better fit for their offense than Pacheco is at this point in their career, they're going to play Trey Benson over him, okay? So I'm a fan of Trey Benson. I'm a fan of his game. I'm a fan of the upside he brings to the field, and hard not to be a fan of the landing spot in Kansas City. Now, Blake Corum goes to the Bucs. I'm a fan of Blake Corum's game. He's sliding in with Rachaad White in Tampa Bay. He gets picked 92nd overall. So, again, also on that border of like round 3, round 4. Now, Blake Corum, in my opinion, he's almost like the opposite of Rachaad White. Rachaad White's just like major athlete, explosive, great pass catcher. And Blake Corum's a dude who just like won't fuck things up on the first couple downs. Blake Corum reads every hole correctly. Blake Corum is a dude that will get you the 4 to 6 yards you need on early downs, which is where like Rachaad White's running ability kind of on the fence there, all right? I don't know that he's a good runner, where Blake Corum's a really good runner. So I think Blake Corum, whereas Trey Benson probably has the upside to be a 3-down back there in KC, Blake Corum I feel like will slot in as the early down guy there. I don't know how much fantasy upside that really provides, but it is what it is. All right, so I'm going to rip through the next 12 picks. I'm just going to put them up on the board for you. Okay, well, I realized there was actually only 34 skill position players picked in this mock draft. So we cut it off at the 10, and I'll kind of just touch on guys that I think are relevant here. Roman Wilson, I know a lot of y'all love him out of Michigan. He was a 2nd-round pick in this draft, 54th overall. But he goes to Cleveland, and I have no fucking idea what his role is going to be, given that they have Amari Cooper, they have Elijah Moore, they just brought in Jerry Jeudy, they have David Njoku. I'm just not sure where he fits into that picture whatsoever. And again, like I do preach this often, like stop thinking about it so long term, but this feels like all those guys are kind of pieces of their offense locked in for at least like 2 more years. So I don't know. Weird pick, in my opinion. Jatavian Sanders, I'm a fan of his game for sure. He's a tight end out of Texas. He goes 65th overall, first pick of the 3rd round to the Carolina Panthers. Just getting Bryce another weapon, so big fan of him. Johnny Wilson, the big receiver out of Florida State. You can see where all those guys go. The only other guy I want to touch on before we wrap up here is Spencer Rattler. All right, Spencer Rattler goes to my Atlanta Falcons. Now, obviously, we just signed Kirk Cousins to this 4-year deal. It's something that we'll probably look to get out of. After the 2nd year, the money will still fuck us pretty hard. But after the 3rd year, we could probably get out of him. If Spencer Rattler, I'll say this. Spencer Rattler, for sure, is my next QB off the board after those first 6 guys. I think Spencer Rattler is going to be a good pro. I think that if he goes to a situation, Atlanta, if he's going to have to wait 3 years, that's kind of shitty. But if he goes to a situation where he can compete for a 2nd-year job, where like Michael Penix goes, like if Rattler goes 44th overall to the Raiders, Rattler deserves much higher rookie draft cap. I like his game a lot, and I think he's going to be a good pro, and I think he's going to be one of the steals of rookie drafts, especially if he's going this late. So if Rattler went where Penix went in this draft, I would start to look at Rattler right after where I took Xavier Worthy. Right at that 2.5, between like the 2.5 and the 2.8, 2.9 spot, I think that's exactly where he should fit in because he's going to be better at the next level than he was at college. He was a huge recruit. A lot of y'all probably have seen the videos of him just being a total dickhead to like his teammates, but I think he's matured as a player. And from what I've heard, everything like pro day wise, all that kind of stuff is he has become an actual pro, and he's kind of learned from it, and his talent is for sure there. So I'm excited to see what Rattler looks like at the next level, whereas I'm not really excited about pretty much any receiver in that last round, and I'm really only excited about Jatavian Sanders. I'm going to be honest with you, that last tight end, Eric All, who went to the Bengals, I have no idea who the fuck that is. He comes from Iowa, so probably not something to overlook there, Iowa U, but I have not watched any tape on him, so I cannot yap about him. Okay, so that is going to wrap up the 3 rounds of this rookie draft. This shit looks crispy. Let me know how you like this video, how it came out, the actual format of it, the way we put the draft over here, the way we put the rookie draft down here. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel, of course, because tomorrow's video, again, is going to be 4 players that I am embarrassed for you to not know going into your rookie drafts, all right? Some of these players I was embarrassed not knowing, and as soon as I started watching them play, I was like, holy shit, we got something here. We are cooking with fire. We are cooking with dynamite. We are cooking with gas right now, all right? So those are those types of players. We will end it here, so subscribe, hit the button that looks like this if you enjoyed the video, and as it's been saying down there the entire time we've been filming this, we will be live streaming here from the HQ, myself, Andrew, and Adam in person the entire first round of the NFL draft. Probably kicks off around 7 p.m., goes through midnight. You know how that shit goes. It becomes more and more of a fucking spectacle every single year. But we'll be here giving you live, on-demand takes about every rookie and their landing spots. The first round is going to be awesome. As you could already see from this mock draft, we had 6 first-round wide receivers. We have 5 first-round quarterbacks. We had a tight end go there. Like, it's going to be a fun first round. So make sure you have notifications turned on. It'll let you know when we go live. But, of course, just be subscribed to see when we throw that up there. I love y'all. I'm out. I'll see you tomorrow.